us a highlight of your research that's helped our understanding of this complicated issue?
Sure. One highlight to think about is the environmental fate or the environmental impact of use of antibiotics, for example, in food animal production systems. So if you go out and you treat an animal for an illness with an antibiotic, they're going to ultimately excrete that antibiotic into the environment. The question is, well, what happens to that? And more importantly, does it matter to anything from a public health perspective or for an animal welfare perspective? We find that, in fact, certain antibiotics do have a big impact in the environment, others do not. And it's really important to emphasize that, because that means we have choices we can make to find more effective ways of treating animals that have less impact, both primarily in the environment in terms of selecting for resistant organisms. You can treat an animal for respiratory illness with what we call a cephalosporin, which is a very, very important antibiotic in human medicine. It will do its job, will help with the animal, but at the same time, a lot of that drug ends up on the ground where it is selecting for resistant strains of bugs like E. coli, which can easily transmit back to new calves. And so you can imagine there's a cycle of transmission going on that's driven by the use of antibiotics. And knowing that means we also have ways to interfere with it. And that would include things like making sure that soil does not go anywhere we don't want it to, making sure that it's treated properly to get rid of the residues and get rid of the bugs. And that actually can be done very easily by thorough composting. So there are achievable technologies already available. We just need to be aware of where we should apply those technologies, and that's one example of the kind of work that